Welcome to this week's episode of Keeping Up with Semi. Here are the announcements.
Hey Semi, this is Alina here, and just letting you know that next Wednesday is the last day to buy your yearbook. Also, next Wednesday's Pink Day, so that means you should all wear pink because on Wednesdays we wear pink. Also, next Wednesday is the grad fashion show. I'll be in it, thus you should be there too.
Welcome to this year's French versus Spanish debate. Which language to choose? French?
Bonjour!
Or Spanish?
Hola.
Let's start this debate now. These four contestants have 5 minutes to prepare on how to defend their language. Start! Now that 5 minutes of preparation is done, now it's time for each team to make their opening statements for 2 minutes. Up first, Team Spanish.
My name is Cici. I've been taking Spanish for 3 years. So I think Spanish is better than French because Spanish is easier to learn. It's really similar to how you pronounce English, and just basically you just pronounce it how it looks like. And it's really useful in North America and South America, which is just like below us somewhere. They all speak Spanish, and yeah, it's really useful, and it's spoken in more countries in Europe, like Spain and even in Africa. Yeah.
Spanish sounds, in my opinion, a lot better than French. It's just smoother and it has a really nice, quality to it. There are a lot of vowels in French, an unnecessary amount of vowels. There's a lot of them, so it makes it hard to pronounce and read. And the grammar is very complicated as well, so that makes it a lot harder to learn. It's very complicated.
Good job, Team Spanish. Now it's on to Team French.
Hello, my name is Abhishek Chopra and I've been taking French for about 4 years.
I'm Sunny, and I've been taking French since kindergarten.
So I think French is better than Spanish because when you look at it globally, it's more useful because we live in a country that's bilingual, has English and French speakers, and not just because of only Quebec, but also of the maritime colonies as well as Manitoba as well. And then also it's more useful in Europe with France, of course, and then Belgium and Netherlands, and then in Africa because of all the colonies that were imposed by the French Empire.
If you went to Africa and were like, hola, no one would know what you were saying, but if you said bonjour, someone would help you and help you point out where you have to go, for example.
And in my opinion, the French language sounds much more beautiful. It is typically known as the language of love.
For example, if on the street you heard someone say, oh, l'amour, you're like, oh, that's so sweet.
And now that both teams are done both of their opening statements, now it's time for the 1 minute rebuttals. Up first, Team Spanish.
Sunny Lee from the defense team of French stated that French is boring before the debate even started. Sunny has been learning French since kindergarten, and she said it's boring. That means French is actually not a bad language, but a hard language, a difficult language to learn. But instead of French, I took Spanish, and I love Spanish so much. That means Spanish is a better language since the learners, according to the learners' comment on it.
They said that French is popular throughout the world, but the Spanish is also very popular in North America and South America and in Europe. Okay, so it's spread out a lot through the world, and a lot of people like to travel to these places that are very touristy places. So if people who don't know the language plan to go there, then it's going to be a lot harder for them to do things, to travel, to find their way.
So even though, yeah, I did say French is boring, but none of you ever said in English class, oh my god, this is so boring. We all speak English, we're all speaking English right now, and we've all called it boring.
if you spoke Spanish for 40 years and you were talking to a friend in English and was like, oh my god, sometimes Spanish is so boring, that's true too. So it's just about when you're using it, why you're using it, and that's why I said French is boring, because I've said it for so long, and in this context, it wasn't as interesting as, for example, this debate. Well, after you graduate and you travel out to Europe, there's a much higher chance you're gonna go visit France, because it has the Eiffel Tower and Paris, and other things like crepes and La Seine. But after you graduate and even if you don't go anywhere and you just stay in Canada, there's a very small chance of you actually ever using Spanish at your workplace. But rather you speak French, because your company would probably trade or do business with Quebecois companies and others. I don't remember the other provinces. What are the other provinces? And Manitoba and the other things. Maritime colonies.
Okay, now since both of the teams are done both of the rebuttals, now it's time for each of them to do their closing statements.
In conclusion, Spanish is easier to learn, it's more similar to English and easier to pronounce the words. It's more useful in America South and North, and we have more chances to use it. It sounds better, it's smoother, it has less vowels, and it has less complicated grammar, and it has easier IB courses.
So thank you for your time today.
This debate has boiled down to what's the better language, and we think French is, for the reasons that we stated previously, such as French food is much better. For example, the school values French food, well, France and French culture more, because we bring in food trucks of French food, but not of Mexican food or Spanish food. And countries in the world use more French than they do Spanish. It's more useful in Canada, because we're bilingual, French and English. And French is a more beautiful sounding language and a language of love. That is why French is better, and France is better. Vive la France.
Thank you so much for listening to our debate.
That was the end of the debate. What's the verdict? Who won? That's up to you. Which language will you choose to learn?
That's this week's episode of Keeping Up with Swimming. See you next Monday.